YFG Fatso walks through 4 Block, which is Lil Maury hood, trying and warns Chucky hood.
All the hood outside want us to come through. This our
Yeah,
block,
who outside?
Ain't nobody
Our 5
outside.
against any 5 who want to play ball.
Hey, take that
Our
street
5
sign
against
off.
any.
Our 5 against any 5 who want to play ball.
Hey, you know who I'm looking for? Lamar. Hey, look, reverse it. Reverse it. We always.
Buddy,
What you say, Trey?
We
I'm
always
talking about brother now.
So a nigga can't say we halfway came. We always up this.
Hey, they out.
A nigga can't say we halfway came up for us. A nigga can't say we halfway came up. A nigga can't say we halfway came up to these
Well, I knew this what I was doing.
Hey, look. And we already just got to him. Hey. Come on, you ain't never seen a nigga blow the drizzy while you We walking all through there in the middle of the street on my drummer. We done walked the house to the y'all want that too. You hear me? Hey, you ain't never seen a nigga blow that drizzy while you grind. No boy.
Oh, Nike. Hey, hold on. The Gardens what? What they just say about bloodbath?
Ben 130. Tell them go loud with us when we come. Oh, deal me. So we
Who from 130 on?
We don't walk through
I don't see nobody from the
Who
garden.
from 130 on this?
all the way to the next block. Then we walk all the way to the next
Who from bloodbath on this?
That's what his stash at. Lil' bro, stop talking to me, lil' bro. You, this is one account. I can show you 3 more accounts with over this. Stop talking to me. You're a little boy. You're a little boy.
At one point, the conversation shifts toward calling out individuals, questioning credibility, and challenging what people claim they have or represent. There's a focus on money, status, and legitimacy. Who has access to what? Who is real and who is exaggerating? The tone becomes sharper, more critical, and more personal. But underneath that, there's a recurring theme: the difference between image and reality. One of the strongest points being made is that a lot of people involved in these environments are not fully thinking through the consequences of their actions. The message being pushed is that people are chasing an image of toughness or reputation, but may not be considering what it actually costs them in the long run, legally, financially, and personally. There's also frustration expressed toward the idea that people who are generating legitimate income or building something stable are being pulled into destructive behavior. The argument being made is that when someone has an opportunity, especially someone making music, building a career, or bringing in money, they should be protected from falling into situations that could jeopardize everything. Instead, the criticism is that sometimes the people around them don't act as protection. Instead of guiding them towards stability, they may encourage or allow behavior that leads to risk, conflict, or self-destruction. That's where the tone shifts from street talk to something closer to disappointment. The speaker in this conversation repeatedly points out a contrast. When things are going well, when money is coming in and attention is positive, people show respect. But that respect, in their view, is often not for the person. It's for the success, the visibility, and the income. The warning being expressed is that once the money or success disappears, so does much of the attention and loyalty that came with it. That's where the idea of real friendship or brotherhood gets questioned. The argument being made is that true loyalty should involve protection, guidance, and honesty, even when it's uncomfortable. A real friend, in this framing, would not encourage someone to throw away their future for momentary validation or street credibility. Instead, a real friend would pull them aside and say, "Focus on your craft, stay in your lane, protect your position, and don't let outside pressure derail what you've built." Another major theme in this long exchange is the idea of perception versus reality in street culture. People often project confidence, toughness, and control, but the speaker is suggesting that many of those projections are not as solid as they appear.
So while y'all chilling in the cribs in the house one day, and if the police come, don't be talking about he told on y'all and shit. No, y'all told on y'allselves. Y'all told on y'allselves, folks. He said the guys did that same thing to Diddy, but them guys ain't show their faces. I know that did that shit to Diddy. I know the be around on BD. He's a crazy, but that never uploaded his face. You never seen that face, not once in that video. That was some, if you know, you know shit. They all in the video showing their faces, they shiesties up, everybody waving, they switch. That's a crime. I just want to let y'all know that, man. So, the second thing about this is, why y'all leave him alive? So y'all can make a video? When we start leaving niggas when we catch them, folks? Like, was it a clout move always thought of when this shit happened? Like, yeah, we gonna strip his ass and do this. You know? Because y'all leaving a nigga, like, okay, now he has many chances to come kill one of y'all, folks. Why would you leave that's your op alive when you catch him, folks? I don't give a fuck if you stripped him naked, folks. He's supposed to die. Because now, all he does is have means to come and retaliate, folks. You don't even know that can retaliate against y'all? Like, I ain't gonna lie, y'all did y'all big one, but y'all didn't really make him look as bad as y'all think, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of will tell you this for a fact. Once you caught down bad, that's what you supposed to do. See, like me, I ain't do that. I done had guns pointed in my face.
The choices people make in moments of pressure can define everything that comes after. A lot of people outside of someone's immediate circle often look at their life from a distance and think they understand it completely. They see success, money, music, attention, and assume they know what's really going on behind the scenes. But the reality, according to the perspective being expressed here, is much more complicated. The argument begins with a strong claim. When certain artists are not present, people around them may not be as loyal or respectful as they appear in public. Instead, there's a belief that some of those same individuals privately question decisions, laugh at risks being taken, and wonder why someone with opportunity would put themselves in dangerous situations when they could be living comfortably elsewhere. Places like California, where many successful artists relocate to build a safer, more stable lifestyle. From that point, the discussion shifts toward the idea of choices and priorities. It contrasts two paths. One path is staying tied to the streets, the environment, and the need to maintain a tough image. The other path is using success, especially music success, as a way out, building wealth, moving safely, and protecting one's future. The message being pushed is that some people, even after getting a real opportunity in the music industry, still feel pressure to prove street credibility. They may continue to associate closely with dangerous environments or individuals, not necessarily because they have to, but because they feel it reinforces their image or authenticity. However, the criticism here is that this mindset can be misleading and self-destructive. The perspective being shared argues that real, dangerous, or experienced individuals don't need to constantly prove anything. True credibility, in this framing, is quiet. It doesn't require public demonstrations, social media validation, or reenactments of street experiences for entertainment or music promotion. Instead, it exists without announcement. There is also a strong skepticism expressed toward the entertainment aspect of street imagery in music. The argument suggests that some of what is shown publicly, videos, live streams, and storytelling, is curated or controlled for image building and marketing purposes. Security is present, situations are managed, and what the audience sees is often shaped to create a certain impression of authenticity or toughness. From this point of view, the concern is that younger artists may get caught between reality and performance, feeling pressure to live up to an image they've helped create. And in doing so, they risk losing the very opportunity that brought them success in the first place. The message also criticizes the surrounding environment, the friends, associates, or homies who may not intervene when someone is making risky decisions. Instead of stepping in and encouraging safer choices, the claim is that some people remain passive or even supportive of behavior that could lead to legal trouble or harm. And later, if things go wrong, those same individuals may distance themselves or privately judge the outcome. Another major theme is financial stability versus street involvement. The argument stresses that when money is coming in consistently through music or business, there is a real opportunity to change one's life trajectory entirely. That includes traveling, relocating, investing, and living without the constant pressure or danger associated with street environments. But according to the viewpoint being expressed, some people still choose to stay close to unstable situations even when they don't need to. And that choice is seen as confusing or unnecessary from an outside perspective. The passage also references real-world examples in a general sense. Artists or groups who experienced success, legal issues, or setbacks, and had to rebuild or return to less stable environments afterward. The point being made is that success can be fragile, and it can disappear quickly when decisions don't align with long-term stability. Finally, the overall message circles back to accountability and perception. It argues that many people chase image, being seen as tough, respected, or feared, but that image does not necessarily translate into real respect or longevity. In fact, it may only exist while the money and attention are present. Once those disappear, so does much of the perceived status. So the underlying conclusion being drawn is this: success in music or any creative field should be protected, not jeopardized for the sake of appearance. Loyalty should mean guidance, not encouragement towards self-destructive choices. And real power in the long run comes from stability, discipline, and the ability to stay consistent, not from proving something to people who may not actually have your best interests in mind. At the end of the day, it's important to recognize that everyone is their own person. No matter how much advice, influence, or outside opinion exists, people ultimately make their own decisions and choose their behind closed doors. Some individuals may question decisions or feel that certain actions are risky or unnecessary. However, it's important to frame that as perspective rather than fact. It reflects how people in communities often interpret situations, especially when they are watching someone they believe has significant opportunity potentially make decisions that could jeopardize it. The emotional center of the message is concern, not just criticism. There's a sense of frustration tied to seeing talent and opportunity in someone's life, while also seeing that same person potentially engaging in environments or behaviors that could limit their future. The idea being expressed is that when someone has access to success, especially financial success through music, it can be painful for observers to watch that opportunity potentially get placed at risk. At the same time, there's a broader reflection here about communities and accountability. The message shifts from focusing on individuals to focusing on the environment as a whole. It acknowledges that many communities have been impacted by cycles of violence, lack of resources, and limited access to support systems. Because of that, young people often grow up navigating situations where the lines between survival, reputation, and opportunity become blurred. That's where the deeper concern comes in. When someone does manage to break through those barriers, through music, business, or visibility, the hope is that they are able to fully step into that opportunity and build something stable, not just for themselves, but sometimes for the people around them as well. The speaker also emphasizes a desire for positive change. There's a shift toward wanting growth, peace, and rebuilding. The message, "Let's save these kids," reflects a broader awareness that younger generations are watching everything that happens. The behaviors, decisions, and outcomes of visible figures can influence how they think about success, identity, and what is possible for their own lives. So underneath the criticism, there is also a call for reflection and rebuilding, a recognition that communities have been through a lot, and that long-term progress requires more than just success stories. It requires stability, guidance, and examples that show multiple paths forward. Finally, the closing sentiment returns to appreciation and goodwill. Despite the concerns being raised, the message ends on a note of peace and positivity. There is acknowledgement of the audience, gratitude for engagement, and a hopeful tone about growth and change. In the end, the core idea being expressed is simple. People will make their own choices, but when talent and opportunity are present, there is always hope, and sometimes frustration, that those opportunities are protected, not wasted. And beyond any one individual situation, there is a larger desire to see communities heal, grow, and move towards something more stable and constructive for the next generation.